Over time, we've talked a lot about Colts wide receivers and what we can do with the wide receiver position for the Colts to get a more explosive element from that part of the offense, right? It's been years we've been talking about this. We've been talking about this a lot on this channel. And there's one guy that's been mentioned by quite a few people in the Colts channels where as I was hearing about it, I was like, huh, I don't know if that's a move we need to be making for a guy like that. But as time goes on and I see what our offense looks like and we see what other teams look like, I think it's time to talk about Jerry Jeudy. And the reason this is coming up is because of more so what the Broncos are doing, right? Today, just earlier today, they released Randy Gregory, the defensive end who signed a 5-year, $70 million contract with the Broncos in March of 2022. Okay, so if they're going to be cutting bait with guys like that, big contracts, are not worried about dead cap and all that, like, why wouldn't they want to start moving on, right? And one of the reasons they moved on from Randy Gregory is that they said they want to focus on the younger players. And if that's the direction that they're trying to go, right? Randy Gregory's 30 years old, so that makes sense, right? He's an older guy in the league. They want to move on from a big contract with a guy that's 30 years old, whatever, right? But the way the Broncos season is shaping up, right? Things, kind of burning down. They barely beat the Bears, who were probably going to have the number one overall pick again. So after I heard that news, I just started to think like, okay, if they're starting to fire sale, right? They're going to start releasing guys. They're going to start trying to trade guys. Like you might think that Cortland Sutton would be more of a trade candidate because he's older than Jerry Jeudy. But if they're looking to basically restart this roster, right? They want to start to get, as much as they can for some of the guys that they have, right? Are they going to want to pay Jerry Jeudy? Now, the interesting thing here for Jerry Jeudy is that the Broncos already picked up his 5th-year option. So if they traded him, he would already be set to make what he's making this year and then have the 5th-year option. And the numbers for that would be that his base salary this season is 2.68 million and he has a salary cap hit of 4.83 million. So he can afford that on the cap. He would make 2.68 million, or the rest of his 2.68 million this year. And then the 5th-year option next year, he would be making basically 13 million. It's $12.987 million for 2024. And the Colts at the current moment are set to have more than $70 million in cap room going into next year. So they could definitely afford to be able to do that. Jerry Jeudy, at the current moment, he's going to finish this season 24 years old. His birthday is in April. He'll be 25 next season. So even for it seems like he's been in the league for so long, right? I mean, this is his 4th season here in 2023. It seems like he's been around forever, and he's still only 24 years old this year. And really, the story of Jerry Jeudy's career has been injuries, right? Which is the reason I wanted to stay away from Jerry Jeudy and would be okay still if we stayed away from Jerry Jeudy. But what we saw in 2022, even with as dysfunctional as the Broncos were in 2022, especially on the offensive side of the ball, Jerry Jeudy had the best year of his career. He was able to stay healthy for most of it, right? You look at 2020, his rookie year when he came into the league, he had 52 catches, 856, and 3 touchdowns. Right, 2021 missed a lot of time due to injury, had 38 for 467 and 0 touchdowns. Then you look at 2022, the year he stayed healthy for most of the season. He had 67 catches, 972 yards, and 6 touchdowns. And again, Broncos offense was terrible, right? And the Colts offense was bad. Broncos, not much better. Okay, so tells you a lot about how important he was, right? So it's what they were able to do on the offensive side of the ball. Almost had 1,000 yards, was able to have 6 touchdowns. So far this season, he missed the first game, but he's played in the last 3 games where he has 3 catches, 25, 5 catches, 81, 3 catches, 52. So again, the Denver offense just isn't good this year again. So there's not much opportunity for Jerry Jeudy to do much in that Denver offense. But then you start thinking about Jerry Jeudy in this Colts offense and what that could look like. You start being able to have him on the outside, and then you have Josh Downs in the slot, Michael Pittman on the other side. Like, start to have that dynamic, right? We talked about that yesterday with KJ Hamler, but Jerry Jeudy, at the end of the day, is a better receiver than KJ Hamler, right? I think we would all agree with that as long as he's able to stay on the field. Coming into the NFL, I thought Jerry Jeudy could be a special receiver, and then injuries have started to derail that career. But if the Colts were to make a move for him, obviously we would hope that he can stay healthy. Then you start wondering, what would that look like, right? What would we give up? And I think the Broncos are in a position where you wouldn't have to give up, a whole lot for Jerry Jeudy, with them wanting to focus on the future and them wanting to focus on their younger players, right? Maybe you could go ahead since Jerry Jeudy only has this year and then next year with the fifth year option. Maybe you give up a guy like Isaiah McKenzie and a second round pick or a third round pick, right? I really don't think it would cost a whole lot to go get a guy like Jerry Jeudy who's missed so much time due to injury, right? He's never posted 1,000 yard season. So it's not like they can sit here and say, oh, he's one of the best receivers in the league. The numbers just don't support that. So if they're doing, fire sale there in Denver, I think this is something that we actually look into. We talked about Devontae Adams a couple weeks ago, and even though I do think that that's something that the Colts should definitely keep monitoring, like that's Devontae Adams. Of course, you should monitor that situation. It would be amazing to have Devontae Adams. I don't know how realistic that is. I don't know how realistic any trades are, man. But Ballard doesn't really do a whole lot of that. The Nyheim Hines trade last year and bringing Zach Moss in, that was not something typical of Chris Ballard. So I don't know how realistic any of this is, but I think Jerry Jeudy, with what's going on with the Broncos, if they're going to continue try to sell off, they were not even selling off a piece, right? They just let Randy Gregory go. I assume there was no trade market for him, but if they're going to try to get draft capital for the future and try to build for the future, in whatever Sean Payton's image is of the team, then I think the Colts should be one of the teams that's in the mix to go get Jerry Jeudy, right? As long as they continue to win games, it's really what all that hinges upon. If the Colts can win games and it looks like they could be a team that's in the mix when the playoffs come around, then yeah, as the trade line starts to approach, I think the Colts should actively be looking for another receiver to bring in, right? Because we've also talked about being patient with Alec Pierce. I understand being patient with Alec Pierce, and I'm down with being patient with Alec Pierce. But if we can win now and Alec Pierce isn't going to come around, let's go get somebody that we know can slide in there and make plays, right? You can let Alec Pierce continue to develop, and he's going to be continuing to get coached by Reggie Wayne, right? You let him continue to develop, but if you can put somebody else on the field that can make plays, I think that's something we can do because we look like a team that can compete with anybody right now. We can make it tough on anybody any given week. So as much as we have a really young team and we need these guys to develop and we want to do things the right way, there's also an element of, hey man, if we can get this right now while Anthony Richardson's on his rookie contract, let's do what we can to go get it right now. And the fact that we would have Jerry Jeudy for this year and next year, and then we could see what we would do after that, gives us flexibility on contracts like JT, contracts like what Michael Pittman could get, right? Some of these guys for the Colts that need to get paid, Kenny Moore, right? Gives them flexibility, see what we can do in the offseason, have Jerry Jeudy play next year and then figure out his contract if he's going to get one, or he'll be 25 in free agency, in the 2025 offseason. So this is a move that I think is interesting. Again, this only became a thing for me because of what the Broncos are doing. If they're going to be selling off and you can get these pieces, right, go and get a guy like Jerry Jeudy for cheaper than a guy like Devontae Adams, then I think it's something to at least look into. But I would like to know your guys' opinion. Do you think this is a move worth looking into? Do you think we should still just, keep an eye on the Devontae Adams thing? You let me know down in the comment section how you feel about this. And if you enjoy the content on the channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. It's a great free way to support the channel. I can't tell you guys how much it means to me to have your support. All right. So with that said, as always, take care of yourself, take care of each other, and go Colts.